I know what you're thinking. Books in the background. What is this? Ascension Presents? I don't know if I can say that. But don't worry, I'm just currently traveling right now, but I promise next week we'll be right back to the Blu-rays in the background, the classic setup. But now let's get into the review. Hi, I'm Mateo Rivera, the Cinematic Catholic, and today I'm going to be reviewing Inside Out 2 and giving my thoughts on the new movie from Disney and Pixar. Inside Out 2 picks up just a couple of years after the first installment as we see Riley about to go into high school, and with change and growth comes new emotions, which does lead to a moving story about Riley's search for her sense of self. And this will be a spoiler-free review, or at least I'm going to try my best, because there's a lot of really good stuff in this movie, so let's go ahead and just dive right into it. One of the first things I want to touch on with this film is in the opening they kind of catch us up on what Riley has been up to for the last 2 years, and we find out that now not only does she act off of her emotions, but she has beliefs. And her beliefs are not portrayed as a personified character, but they are this glowing orb and strings. And what I thought was really interesting is in the first film, we see her emotions deciding what choices that she makes. But pretty early on in this movie, we see that her beliefs can override her emotions. And the example that they give is there's a girl in the front of the class that spills a bunch of stuff, and her emotions are debating, if they should help her pick it up, or is that going to be embarrassing? Are people going to make fun of her too? But instead of her emotions deciding, her beliefs rise up, and we hear her say, "I am a good person," and she gets up and helps that girl. And I thought that was a really cool way of showing how that works in this universe, and that you can do something because you believe it to be true, even if it's something that you don't feel like doing. And I think that that's a really important lesson to teach kids, especially in a movie about your emotions and how to handle them and all of that stuff, right? And in fact, this entire film's plot is sort of centered around Riley's beliefs and how she views herself, which does make her sense of self. And as all these other emotions start getting added into the mix, led by anxiety, we start to see how her sense of self changes and how being led by certain emotions can affect the way that you view yourself, especially when one of those emotions is anxiety, right? Or depression, or kind of going down that rabbit hole. And speaking more on the anxiety character played by Maya Hawke, I feel like they did a really good job of personifying that emotion and depicting what that looks like, what an anxiety attack looks like in this universe. And not just for children, but I have seen a lot of videos online of parents in the theater watching this movie just crying their eyes out. And I'll be honest, I got a little bit choked up too in this film. Pixar movies usually get me choked up though. But yeah, just the way that the filmmakers handled those things, an anxiety attack, how to handle it. And I think that this movie is not only going to be very healing, but I think it's going to be a really good tool for explaining what those emotions feel like, and a good conversation starter for how to address these things, how to cope with it, how to control it, and how to move forward. Now, one thing I will say is I wish we got to see Riley's growth over a longer period of time. This film basically takes place over the course of one weekend, and it's been a long time since I've seen the first film, but I think that movie took place over like a couple of months as we were seeing her family move and school and how she was starting to fit in and all of those types of things. I think it would be really interesting if they made a third film and kind of took that Toy Story approach and doing it as she was going off to college and sort of becoming an adult. I did tell that idea to my wife, and she said that they probably won't do that because if you're going to do an adult story justice, there are certain emotions and things that happen that, may be a little bit too mature for a production studio that makes films appropriate for children. But again, like Toy Story 3, I think they could find that sweet spot, and I think that that could be a really good cap on this, emotional trilogy. All in all, viewing this in a Catholic lens, I think this is going to be a really good movie for starting those conversations about emotions and talking about how your kids are feeling, especially as they get a little bit older and they start to have those emotions like anxiety and embarrassment and just all the things that come with life. And while this movie does not address religion specifically, I think it can still be a good tool for talking about how your beliefs form what your beliefs are, how our beliefs are informed by our faith, and how to live that out practically in the real world. But go see this movie, have a good time with your kids, heal your inner child, all that good stuff. And for my cinephile rating, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. This movie is a lot of fun, the same kind of jokes and humor as the first movie. It's really charming. You guys are going to enjoy it. And for my Catholic rating, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Again, I think there are a lot of really good conversations to be had here, and the conversation is going to look different depending what age your kids are at. Or if you have multiple kids of multiple ages, I think it would be really interesting to see what each kid took away from this film. It is a secular look at beliefs and sense of self, but sometimes a different perspective can help us understand why we believe what we believe even deeper. But guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoyed my review and somewhat analysis of Inside Out 2. Once again, my name is Mateo Rivera, and until next time, hasta la vista.